Coco Gauff didn't yell. She didn't argue. She just smiled and said something that stopped the crowd cold. The world number 4, an 11-time WTA champion, stood on center court in Dubai while 450,000 Filipinos packed the stands and chanted another player's name. Most athletes would crack under that pressure. Most would show frustration. But Gauff did something unexpected, something quiet, something that revealed exactly why she's a Grand Slam champion. And when she finally spoke, her words weren't for the umpire or the cameras. They were for the very people who weren't cheering for her. February 18th, 2026. The Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. Center court. Coco Gauff had just survived a 3-set thriller against Elise Mertens, a match that saw her save 3 match points and dig deeper than she had in months. Sweat dripping, adrenaline pumping, the kind of victory that reminds everyone why she's a Grand Slam champion. She grabbed the microphone for her on-court interview. The crowd was still buzzing. The stands were packed, something that doesn't always happen in Dubai's early rounds. Then, Gauff looked toward the tunnel where the next match would emerge. She knew who was waiting, and she knew why the crowd was really there. "I know you guys are probably here for Alex, so I'm sorry to make you wait," she said into the microphone. Let that sink in. A world number 4, a player who has graced magazine covers, signed multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, and won the US Open as a teenager, was apologizing to a crowd for being the main event. "If I'm not mistaken, I think some of you guys are cheering for me, so I appreciate it a lot," she added, with a smile that said she wasn't taking any of it personally. This was the first clue, the first hint that Coco Gauff had already decided how she was going to handle the Alex Ayla effect. Not with frustration, not with resentment, with something far more dangerous to an opponent's psychological advantage. She was going to enjoy it. The numbers explained everything. More than 450,000 Filipino expatriates live in Dubai, over 20% of the city's population. When Alex Ayla stepped onto a court in the UAE, she wasn't just representing the Philippines, she was representing home for hundreds of thousands of people who rarely see their flag waved on global stages. Gauff knew this, and instead of fighting it, she acknowledged it, publicly, gracefully, disarmingly. The apology wasn't weakness, it was strategy. 24 hours later, February 19, 2026. Same stadium, same packed stands, same sea of Philippine flags. But this time, Gauff was walking onto the court, not off it. Against her stood Alex Ayla, the 20-year-old sensation who had already upset world number 8 Jasmine Paolini and Sorana Cirstea to reach her second WTA 1000 quarterfinal. The Rafael Nadal Academy product who had turned every match into a home game. The woman who had the crowd chanting, "Let's go Alex," before the first ball was even struck. The match lasted 67 minutes. Gauff won 0-6, 6-2. It wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Afterward, Gauff grabbed the microphone again, and this time she revealed exactly how she had silenced the noise. "I had a similar match at French Open last year, so I brought that mindset today," she explained. "Whenever you guys were cheering for Alex, I was pretending it was my name. I think that it helped me a lot." She laughed. The crowd laughed, but beneath the humor was a revelation that every athlete in every sport should study. "If you can't beat them, you've got to join them," Gauff said. This is the kind of reverse psychology that legends use. Novak Djokovic perfected it over nearly 2 decades of playing against crowds who worshipped Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. He learned to feed off the hostility, to turn every Roger chant into fuel for his own fire. Coco Gauff, at just 21 years old, had already mastered the same trick. "I have to say, it's great to be on a crowded court," Gauff continued. "I've played this tournament for many years, and to see the stadium full means a lot." Read between the lines, she wasn't just being polite,
She was reframing the entire narrative. The crowd wasn't against her, they were for tennis. They were proof that the sport was growing, and she, Coco Gauff, was part of that growth. That's not just sportsmanship, that's psychological armor.
Here's where the story takes a turn that no one expected. Most athletes, when asked about a hostile crowd, offered generic answers. The fans were great. It's always tough on the road. I just tried to focus on my game. Coco Gauff did something different. She thanked Alex Ayla. Not sarcastically, not passive-aggressively. Genuinely. I'd like to thank Alex for bringing a new demographic to the sport. I really appreciate it, Gauff said during her on-court interview. Let me repeat that. A world number 4, who had just been out-cheered in her own match, stood on a microphone and thanked her opponent for making her feel like the villain. I think it's great, Gauff continued. I know sometimes it's tough when you're playing against a home crowd, but I think that it's great for the sport, so keep being enthusiastic and keep rooting for your player. The crowd, which had been chanting against her for 2 hours, erupted in applause. This was the unexpected moment, the quiet reaction that revealed something deeper about Coco Gauff's character. She didn't just tolerate the Ayla effect, she celebrated it. She understood that tennis is a business, and that new fans, even fans who root against you, are the bloodline of the sport. I think she's taken it to the next level in terms of bringing a new demographic, Gauff had said before the match. Yeah, it's great for tennis overall. Most players would resent being the villain. Most would complain about the noise, the imbalance, the unfairness of playing a home game on neutral soil. But Coco Gauff? She looked at 450,000 Filipino fans and saw opportunity, new eyeballs, new energy, a sport that was growing because of a 20-year-old who refused to be ignored. I think she's great, Gauff added. I think she's fun to watch. I think she has a great personality.
March 9th, 2026. Indian Wells, the BNP Paribas Open. Just 3 weeks after Dubai, another tournament, another Gauff-Ayla matchup. But this time, the story had a different ending. Ayla raced through the first set, her game clicking in ways it hadn't in Dubai. The crowd, still overwhelmingly Filipino, was electric. Flags waved, chants echoed. The energy was everything Gauff had faced before. Then, something unexpected happened. Gauff's arms started bothering her. The pain got worse, and at 1-0 in the second set, with Ayla already leading, the American walked to the net. She retired from the match. No fireworks, no controversy, no dramatic scene, just a quiet exchange between two young athletes who respect each other. But here's what happened next, and this is the moment that reveals everything about both players. At the net, Ayla leaned in and said something to Gauff. The cameras didn't catch the words, the microphones didn't pick them up, but later in her press conference, Gauff revealed exactly what was said. "No, she just told me I hope I feel better and things like that," Gauff told reporters. Then came the words that showed Gauff's heart. "I felt really bad to pull out. You never want to pull out, but more so for her because she was playing great tennis and I don't want to take anything away from the way that she was playing." Think about that. Coco Gauff, the woman who had been out-cheered, out-chanted, and turned into the villain, was worried that her retirement would diminish Ayla's victory. "I'd rather finish the match and lose 6-0, she admitted. But at that point, I just felt that because the pain was getting worse and I didn't know what was going on, I just felt it was better to stop. This is the quiet moment that the highlight reels won't show, the one where competition takes a back seat to humanity, where two athletes, both fighting for their careers, acknowledge each other not as obstacles, but as fellow travelers on a brutal journey. Gauff ended her press conference with a prediction that would prove prophetic. But I think she's going to have a great tournament. Let me show you the data that explains why Coco Gauff's reaction was so remarkable. Dubai, February 2026. Gauff wins 6-0, 6-2 in 67 minutes. Ayla's forehand errors, 33 unforced errors to 8 winners. Goff's first serve percentage, 54%, up 12% from previous round. The crowd, thousands of Filipino fans, "Let's go Alex" chants audible on broadcast. Indian Wells, March 2026. Ayla wins via retirement, Goff injury. Goff's words afterward, "I don't want to take anything away from the way that she was playing." But the numbers that matter most aren't on the scoreboard. The Filipino population in Dubai, 450,000. The Filipino population in the UAE, over 700,000. The number of tournaments where Ayla has drawn record crowds in 2026, Melbourne, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Indian Wells. And what did Coco Gauff do when faced with this mathematical reality? She didn't complain about the imbalance, she celebrated it. "One match can change everything," Gauff said after her Dubai victory. "I definitely wasn't in good spirits before entering this tournament, but you know, one match can change everything. I honestly didn't think I would be in the semis at the start of this, but I'm happy that I'm here." That's the difference between a good player and a great one. A good player lets the crowd dictate their mood. A great player uses the crowd. Even a hostile one is fuel. "I wasn't in good spirits," Gauff admitted, but she found a way out. She pretended the cheers were for her. She thanked Ayla for bringing new fans. She turned a potential psychological disaster into a career highlight. And when she finally lost to Ayla in Indian Wells, not on the scoreboard but to injury, she worried more about diminishing her opponent's achievement than about her own pain.
Coco Gauff didn't yell. She didn't argue with the umpire. She didn't glare at the fans waving Philippine flags. She smiled, pretended the cheers were for her, and thanked Alex Ayla for bringing a new demographic to the sport. That's the quiet reaction that nobody expected, and it reveals something important about the future of women's tennis. The Alex Ayla effect isn't going away. Every tournament she enters, the stands will fill with Filipino flags. Every match she plays, the chants will drown out everything else. Opponents will have to choose, fight the crowd, or find a way to embrace it. Coco Gauff chose the latter, and she won. "I think it's great for the sport," Gauff said, "so keep being enthusiastic and keep rooting for your player." Those words weren't just for the fans in Dubai. They were a message to every player on tour. The sport is changing, new markets are emerging, and the players who adapt, who learn to play in front of any crowd, for any team, will be the ones who thrive. Gauff adapted. She pretended the cheers were for her. She channeled the energy instead of fighting it, and she walked off the court with her head high, having turned a hostile environment into a personal victory. The question that remains is simpler than it seems. When the crowd is against you, do you fight them or join them? Coco Gauff chose to join them, and in doing so, she showed the tennis world exactly what grace under pressure looks like. Was Coco Gauff's quiet reaction the ultimate power move, or just the only way to survive the Alex Ayla effect? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Court Legacy for more stories that go beyond the scoreline.
Coco Gauff stood in a stadium packed with 450,000 Filipinos chanting another player's name. She didn't yell, she didn't argue. She smiled, pretended the cheers were for her, and thanked Alex Ayala for bringing a new demographic to the sport. Then she won, 6-0, 6-2. 3 weeks later, when injury forced her to retire against Ayala at Indian Wells, she worried more about diminishing her opponent's victory than about her own pain. The world number 4 didn't just survive the Alex Ayala effect, she mastered it. And in doing so, she showed every player on tour exactly how to handle the future of women's tennis.